Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to be doing a playthrough of Dungeons of Infinity. We are going to take a couple characters through a mission and see if we can make it. Now, for those of you that don't know what Dungeons of Infinity is, it's a 1 to 5 player co-op or competitive or basically whatever you want to design dungeon crawling type game. There's a one-off scenarios and there are also campaigns. If you're interested in seeing the campaign of this game, I have done the first mission about a while ago, so if you're interested, I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. Colin has done a one-off over at One Stop Co-op Shop. I'll put a link to that as well in the description of this video, but we're going to go and use the new book that was part of the expansion material. We are going to take a mission out of Kingdom Cost, and we're going to see if our characters can make it through the dungeon, and if you're excited to see if they can, then I need you to meet me at the table. The new expansion not only expands the campaign of this amazing game, but it also gives some great new one-shot scenarios. And we're going to play one of those. It's called the Gauntlet. It says, deep in the gloom, an endless horde of enemies lurks. Now, every tile contains mist. Can you survive the Gauntlet? So we're going to see if we can make it through the Gauntlet. And we're going to quickly go through some of the setup, and then we're going to jump right into the game. So when you create this, you're going to be using a random dungeon lord. Now, I know we're supposed to use a random one, but I've actually chosen our dungeon lord because this is one of the new dungeon lords from the new campaign. So we're going to use that one. The tile content chart is going to be none. We're going to see the special rules. Now, of course, if you want to see exactly how this game is normally played and normally laid out, please check out those other two videos. But every game that you play of this has a very different way of setting the game up. So in this particular one, it says we're only going to use these particular tiles, shuffle them into a stack, and place them next to the starting tile. Also, in this particular scenario, we're not going to use the tile content chart. Each tile is going to contain mist, which is usually an encounter or a decision thing that we have to make. It's usually something really bad. So we're not going to be using our tile content chart, which are these right here. There are different ones of these. And what these do is, as you normally are going through the dungeon, you're going to flip over a tile as you're and when you expose the tile, you're going to reference the number over here and decide what you're going to deal with over here. And each of these comes with a stack of cards that are going to have a different thing on them that you're going to have to either do, beat, or potentially just gain. And so it's a really cool system. I like this system a lot because it gives this dungeon such a random feel normally when you play the game. Now, in this particular scenario, we're not going to be doing that. All of our cards are going to have mist, or the tiles, I apologize. All these tiles are going to have mist as we play through them. Also, it says that the tiles may only be placed in a straight line heading north from the starting tile, so be sure to place the tile accordingly. We're in a gauntlet after all. We've got to get all the way through the gauntlet. And it says here, when the last tile is revealed, place the dungeon lord on the starting tile. So we're going to have to beat our dungeon lord if we get to the very end of the tile without completing our mission. And the heroes may not purchase or use teleportation scrolls. The goals for this game is, if we're playing competitively, we have to be the first hero to arrive at the starting tile with 12 coins of value. Now, we're going to be playing cooperatively because it's hard to play against myself. The hero each hero must arrive at the starting tile with 10 coins. You may include the value of all items carried and equipped. If any hero becomes exhausted during the game, the quest is lost. So we have to make sure we make it through the gauntlet and get enough coins to get all the way back in order to win this game. Now, as we know how to play the game, let's check out what characters are going into the gauntlet. So here we have our first one. He is our warrior character. And the cool thing about this is this has gone through a major upgrade in the components. The main focus of the latest campaign is to bring in that great new expansion, but also the components themselves have gone through a major upgrade. The last iteration of this had these little sliders that went back and forth that were great, but sometimes they didn't work exactly right. So instead they went to this cube system where you can just move these cubes up and down the tracks and hold on to everything. They have these neat game trays that hold everything in there. So we have ourselves our warrior. This is our experience track up here as we do different things in the dungeon. May it be abilities or fight monsters. We're going to gain experience when we get to the another experience level. We're going to not only get some new abilities and things, but when you do, you're going to drop back to 0. So you have to keep going up this row in order to get to the final level of your character. Now, we're probably not going to see up to level 5 or anything. We might get to like level 2 or 3. We'll see how this goes. Here's your starting health value. Here's your starting power, defense, and action points. Of course, power is going to influence how much damage you do in the dungeon. The defense is going to be able to mitigate some of the damage coming in, and the action points are how many things you can do on your turn. Now, on top of your normal standard action down here, which is just going to use your attack power in the dungeon, or your evade up here, there is also going to be some actions you can do on your cards, and those are going to be based on your level. So we have our level 2 and level 1 and level 3, 4, 5 cards. We also have some of our upgrade cards here. So he is going to have these particular abilities for himself at the beginning of the game. Now, what you're seeing here, this is the range that you can go with when you're fighting in the dungeon. And when you fight in the dungeon, you're going to be placing your enemies in rows above your character board, up to 3 rows. So he can only attack the first row with this particular ability here. It's going to cost him 2 action points. And it says here, attack 2 adjacent enemies with added power based on level roll for each attack. So you're not only going to do your power worth of damage, but you're going to add it based on what level you are, which is pretty awesome. The next one is Enrage. Now, this one is going to give us the ability to do a lot more damage when we come in, and it adds power based on level of this hero, but add enemy hit chance to all attacks made against them. So they're going to be, it's like almost like in trading, like a lot more damage to be able to hit more. This is going to have a timer on it, so it's going to last 2 turns. Then it's going to fall off, but then you can put it back on, but it's going to cost you 3 actions. We have Intimidating Presence. Whenever an enemy focuses on this hero, half of them, rounded down with power less than the value based on level, flee from combat. So if you don't want to have to fight that many, you can. Now, this symbol over here shows that it can't be used on sentinels or any of the Lord particular monsters. Bash. Bash is going to allow us to open a chest in the dungeon without key. This probably is not going to come into effect unless there's some missed cards that have keys, but more often than not, those cards are going to come in some of the some of the cards that have chests. And when you find like a chest, you might be able to flip it over and it might have well, that's not a chest, but because not everything you see in the dungeon is what it seems, that is for sure. So if you find any chests in the dungeon, you could use this to bash it open. This symbol up here shows that how many different tiles away this can affect something, as opposed to how far in range during the combat it can. And then we have another Intimidating Presence, and I think that's about it. I think actually our Intimidating Presence might have let's see which one we have here. Yep, okay. So we have this Intimidating Presence, and then this is Focus Constitution is a level 2 power. We're not going to be using that. So we're going to take our level 1 cards. We're going to keep those right here. Now, if we ever go up a level, we're able to take our level 2 card, put it in our stack of available cards, and have that for us. Now, we're going to gain some items and weapons and things of that nature in just a second, but we'll have to do that once we start in the dungeon. The other things you see in this dungeon is our hit chance. That is important. When we go to fight our monster, that is our hit chance. We can only carry 6 weight worth of stuff. And we have a noise value of 5. And that is about all you see here. That well, I guess we got a couple more things, might as well say them. We've got weaknesses down here. So if we get attacked by a monster with these weaknesses, we're going to take extra damage. Or that have those abilities when they attack, are going to take more damage. The Lord event actions are down here. Whenever we do one of these and the Lord is on the board, you're going to take one of the Lord tiles and place it here. And then once your turn's over, you're going to activate cards based on the tiles here. Then this is what you can have in your left and right hand. This is the symbols of the different types of weapons and armor you can have on these. This is the type of body and feet armor you can have, is based on this picture you see right there. So that is our warrior. Let's quickly look at our new character. Here's one of the new characters. It came from the Stonebound Saga kind of expansion that for this game. It was kind of a little add-on thing that's really cool. Bring some of the characters from Stonebound Saga into this game. Stonebound Saga is another game coming from Sky Kingdom Games. I'm super excited for that game. But this is right now, this is one of the characters that's now in Dungeon Infinity. This is our Prophet. This character is going to be more of a magic-based character, as you can see by this book and the super awesome art over here. This is amazing looking art. Oh my gosh, so good. Now, of course, she's going to be a little more limited in what type of weapons and armor she can use, and she doesn't do as much power, have as much defense as our fighter, but she has more action points. She actually has more health points, which is interesting. And then she has different abilities that are going to be doing different things. So, for example, she has her flame spell that is going to add 2 damage with a flame attack. If it attacks, it costs 2. 2 can be used as attack only at range 1 though. It's going to attack one enemy with added power based on level. So if you're level 3, you're going to do 5 extra damage, so you do 8 damage. Of course, these things can go up and down based on particular armor or items you have in your possession. So that's one of these spells. We have Inferno. This one is going to be at a range of 2, so it could affect anything at range 1 or 2 on the board. It has 4 action points. It's out of control. It needs a lot of them. It does what's here. It says attack 2 enemies with added power based on level. Roll once, ignoring enemy hit chance, which is fantastic. This is going to have, you also get +2 when you attack with this warrior hit chance. Her hit chance is 14 right now, so it'd be 16, and I ignore enemy hit chance. You'll see that in just a second. Plus, it's going to do an extra 4, so she would do 7 damage with this spell for 2 different enemies that she attacks. That's pretty awesome. Now, one thing I didn't mention before is down here, you get experience per hit. So this is going to give you 1 experience. So if we get 2, people are going to get 2 experience for that particular one, where the other one is just 1 per hit because it only hits 1 person. The next one we have is Antidote Balm. Add fire defense and poison defense to all heroes on this dungeon tile, which only costs 1 action. This might be something we might want to do to help if we see those particular enemies out there that have those powers or those abilities to hit with. We also have Blaze. Blaze is level 2, or range of 2, sorry, costs 3. And it says attack one enemy with added power based on level again. It's just going to be +3, and it gives us 1 experience point when we use it, and that is it. Those are our spells. As you can see, they're all based on fire. Fire, fire, fire. Lots of fire, because you see fire all over the place. Also, every person or every character here comes with a miniature now, or standees. It's up to you what you want to do, but we're going to be definitely using her miniature because it's out of control amazing. She's got this fire flying all over her. It's probably one of the coolest miniatures in the entire box. This thing looks so cool. Now, of course, the other character, our warrior, is going to look like this. We'll place him down on his tile there. These were done by the company themselves. I did not paint these up like this, but it does give some good depth and definition by just looking like they just kind of added a wash to it, which looks pretty awesome. All right, that is the 2 characters. Now let's take a look at our setup for our mission itself. Here we have everything we're going to need, and some things we're not, but I have it out there just so we can talk about what they are. The first thing is we have a threat meter. Normally when you're going to the dungeon, depending on what actions you do, you're going to raise this meter. Once this meter gets to the top, the lord of the dungeon knows that you're there, and it starts wanting to deal with you. When we play a 2-player game, we'd start at 10 and we'd slowly raise this up, and based on things in the dungeon like different cards or different actions or things of that nature, this amount will go up, and eventually this dungeon lord will come out. Now we're going through the gauntlet, so we're not going to be using that for this particular mission. Like I said, if you're interested in seeing how that particular part of the game works, check out the 2 other playthroughs that Colin and I have done in the description of this video, that if you're interested in seeing those. The next thing we have here, like I said, are those different tiles to tell us what happens in the dungeon. We're not going to be using those as well. We're going to put those aside. We do have our tiles all shuffled up and ready to go. Here's our starting tile. Now in our starting tile, there is a merchant. Our merchant is going to have some things available for us at the beginning of the game that hopefully can help us in the dungeon. The next thing we have are 2 different sets of enemies here. We have the minions with stars and the minions without stars. The minions with stars are supposed to be kind of a little bit tougher, and they come in different packs. For example, if I want to bring in the horde of giant rats, I could add in these 4 monsters into our minion deck, and they might pop out. Now, this is a gauntlet after all, so I am actually going to add these in, but maybe I'll do that after the second tile. Now, it didn't say that in the setup instructions, but I'm going to do that anyway. I think it'd be kind of cool. It also says if you want to have a harder game, to remove the spider monsters from the minion deck. So we are going to remove those because after all, we're playing through a gauntlet. We got to make it tough, right? And we have our miss cards that we're going to draw for each of the tiles we enter, and then we have our dungeon lord as well. We're going to set him aside. We're not going to be using him unless we get to the very end tile, and we might not see him because we might get enough gold to appease this mission before we find him. We'll see how that all plays out. So our setup is all set to go. The only thing we need to do is draw our items that our merchant is going to have for us and see if we can buy any of them to help us out while we're in the dungeon. So the first thing we're going to do is take 4 cards from this deck. And this deck I've shuffled up and it's all set to go. And we're going to draw out 4. We have a Pyromancer Mantle. We've got a Thick Robe. We've got Magic Armor. And we also have a Sword. So this is kind of good. We'll see how this all plays out. We're going to, now our characters, I should mention, at the start, do start with 3 gold. So these are available for us to buy if we're interested in. The Magic Armor will, of course, raise our armor stat and our fight stat, which would be pretty good. The Sword is going to raise just our fight stat. The Thick Robe is going to raise our defense, but this one's going to give us resistance resistance to the ice, which would actually be really good. So these three things I think we're probably going to buy, but we'll see. There could be more things we might want to get. We'll put this one aside, and there's more things we can buy because he also has 6 cards from this deck. We'll give these deck a little shuffle here and get it ready. This is a huge giant stack of items. This is amazing. Now 6 of these are available, so we'll see what we can find. We found ourselves a golden hide. Now this is going to cost us 5, and it has 3 up here, which means it's going to be level 3 or higher in order to use. So we can't even use that. We also have a level 2 shield. Oh, it's level 2. That's too bad. A level 3 hunter's spear, a level 2 thieves blessing, and a silver hammer. Is that 6? That's 5. Come on, one more. Maybe we can use this. No, we can't use any of this stuff. So the guy has brought these absolutely amazing things to the gauntlet, but we can't use any of them. So what we bought originally is going to be what we're going to take. I think we're going to take the robe for our prophet, and then the magic armor and the sword for our warrior. Now this game with the new game trades comes with a cool place to put stuff. I'm going to put our body piece right down here, and this, like I said, will give us 1 more defense, so we'll give ourselves that defense, and now our weakness is gone. We don't have a weakness anymore as long as we're wearing this, because we do get resistance to our ice ability here, which kind of cancels that weakness out. Our warrior is going to gain, of course, both the armor, and notice the symbol here does match this, so he can put that on his character, and the sword, he'll make him left-handed. He'll put the sword right there. He's going to be able to add his power is going to go up to 1 from this and 1 from this, so we'll go to 7 on that. And then his defense is going to go up by 1 to 6. That's actually pretty good. Hopefully he could hold out against some of these magic monsters that are coming at us. All right, both of our characters are set to go. Let's start our game. But before we do, there is one more thing I want to do while I'm at the dungeon tile. I'm going to ask this guy to go get this. When you're on the merchant tile, you can ask him to go get something. You're going to place this token on here, and each turn we're going to tick this down, and when it finally gets the X, this is available, and we can go buy it if we want to. And right now we don't have enough money for it, but hopefully by the time we get to that point that it comes into play, we'll have the ability to go get it and have the money for it. And since we didn't use all our money, I am going to keep 1 of our silver. I'll just place it right there. I'm just going to stop right here for a second. Before we continue this playthrough, there are a few errors I made, so I might pop up back in the video every once in a while and tell you what I did wrong. So if you're watching this, you'll know how to play the game, hopefully a little bit better than what I did. At the beginning of each round, you are going to roll initiative for your characters. Each character will roll a d20, and the one of the lowest number will be the one that goes first. So this is going to be for her, and this is going to be for our fighter. She got a 1, which is really good. Low is better in this game, and he got a 15. Those are kind of tough to see on screen. These are the dice I got as for the Kickstarter, which is kind of cool. So, but I might trade back to the ones that normally come with this because they're a lot easier to see on camera. But she did get a 1, so she's going to go first, and he's going to go last. Now, the person that rolls the lowest number is not only going to go first, but can also choose if they want to go last instead. So this roll is with only 2 characters is pretty inconsequential, because whichever one rolls last can choose to go, or rolls first can go last if they want to. So I'm not going to be rolling for initiative anymore. I just wanted to show you a little bit how that works. But if you had more than 2 characters, then the initiative would actually make a difference in this game. So that is the first thing you're going to do. Now it's going to go into whatever person you want to go first. I'm actually going to have our warrior go first. He's going to be the first person. There are many different actions you can do in this game. The first one is I could choose to drop an item onto the board if I want to, and it can be picked up by somebody else or myself later in the game if I wish to. Then that, if I want to do that, it would cost me 1 action to pick things up. I could also trade amongst characters that are on my tile for 1 action as well. Now remember, our warrior only has 3 actions. It does cost you an action to equip anything that you do get in the dungeon. So it would take you almost a full turn for our warrior to drop or trade something and also equip it. You can enhance different weapons you get if they have the ability to be enhanced by different orbs and things of that nature. You can spend an action to move 1 tile if you want to, which is allowing you to go through particular doors. Now notice from this tile we can go in any direction we want to, but for this particular scenario, remember the only way we can go is north. So we can use the action point to move, and then we draw a dungeon tile, move up there and deal with the consequences, which is going to be a mist. If it wasn't a mist, if it was something like a body or debris or a chest or something, we'd put down a little little token on there, and we could use an action to examine that particular token. Now, mist, unless it's told otherwise, is going to just automatically happen as you enter the room. There are some other actions you can do as well, such as run. That is also going to give you, and it's going to take 1 action point to run. You can run up to 2 tiles, but as you do that, your defense is going to go down. You're going to gain a -2 defense token. And the following round, it would go to -1, and then it would finally be removed. But if you ever ran again while you had that token, it would flip back to its -2 side. You could help your friends by shouting at the Dungeon Lord, giving yourself basically the priority of him to come after you, or at least that's your hope as you go through the dungeon. You can also sneak, which you can attempt to avoid the Dungeon Lord by quietly moving. It's going to cost you 2 action points though in order to do that. You can also evade enemies in the dungeon. Now, we're not going to be evading any enemies because we want to kill them so we can get gold and we can win. But it's going to cost 2 action points if you wanted to evade a particular enemy inside of the dungeon and move past it. This it means you'd also have to roll your evade. And if you roll less than your evade roll, you're successfully able to get through there. We also have just a standard attack, which is one of the things we're going to be doing quite a bit. It's going to cost 1 action point. That's just going to be using your particular power in order to attack the monster. Now, do be aware, if, for example, I was attacking this horde of rats and I wasn't able to go above their defense value, you would still do 1 damage to an enemy if you hit them with any type of attack, including a standard attack. A standard attack also would give you 1 experience points no matter what as well. Retreat, you could also retreat if you want to. It's going to cost you 2 actions unless you're weakened, which means you have 5 or less health points. Then you would be able to do it for 1 action. And the last action you could choose, well, there's a few. Sorry, there's 2 more. There's a rest action. You can do a rest action, but you have to roll a d20. Again, you have to roll under the amount of damage. The result has to be equal to or minus 20 from the health of what it is. It restores up to 6. For example, let's say I have, if my current health is 4, I would take 20 minus 4, and I would have to roll 16 or less, and then I would be able to heal. So less damage, or the more damage you've taken, the easier it is for you to use a rest action. And the final one, of course, is going to be using your abilities as you go forward. For example, I could use any of these based on the amount of action points it costs up there. So those are the different actions that you can do, and that is about it. It is time to go on. I guess in the other, you could also use items, but those are very similar to using your abilities here as well. It'll probably have a cost on them in order to use them, and then you can go ahead and use them. Now, we didn't find any items in our deck, so we don't get any items yet, but maybe we'll find some as we fight through these monsters. The final thing I want to mention before we do our first activation is the tile we're on, like I said, is our merchant tile. We're able to go to him free the first turn, but if we ever return to this tile and want to use the merchant, it's going to cost us 2 action points. So the first time we both visited to buy our stuff, that was free for this round. Now we're going to be moving into the game, and it's going to cost us actions in order to do that. With our warrior going first, he's going to jump into the action by using Enrage. It's going to cost him all of his action points. He's going to go down to 0, but this is going to give him the power based on level of this hero, so it's basically going to make him a more powerful character. It's going to do a lot more damage, but we're going to place one of these time tokens on here to show that we have these going, and when this is gone, it'll go back into our card pool to use again. But for the basically next turn, when he runs into a place to fight monsters, he will do a ton of damage. Now that his turn is done, we are going to gain back our action points, and then we resolve any enemy things that were happening, but we don't have any enemies on the board right now. That's technically his first turn. He's all done. Our prophet is going to be Brave. She's got more hit points than the warrior. Maybe she'll be, it's probably a bad idea. We'll chalk this up to bad idea number 1. She's going to use her first action to move, so we're going to reveal our dungeon tile. We have found tile 18. We'll place it down here so that we are able to move forward the dungeon. Now, like I've said previously, normally we would consult our tile and see what we're going to place in here, but they are always going to have missed events in here. So we're going to move into that tile. I don't have any way of revealing tiles to find out what is in these tiles before moving into them, so we're just going to move into them. We'll take our mist deck, we'll give it a little truffle shuffle here, so it's all set to go for us, and we'll draw our first card and see what we found. We have found Revenge is Sweet. You walk into the room and see nothing. There is no danger here. A strange ethereal voice begins to speak. A gigantic skeleton did me in. Kill him. Kill the lich for me. You shall be rewarded. The voice fades into nothing. The Lich Sentinel can now be found on tile 25, and combat will begin instead of checking the tile content chart. Defeat the Lich by spending 1 action point to pick up the enemy card. Counts as 2 against its carry limit. Return to the starting tile and exchange the defeated Lich for 5 coins. Attach this card to your hero board. I can remove this card to complete the quest. So I now have that particular quest. If one of these tiles is 25, we might be able to find that. Now, sadly, I can't remember if that particular tile is in here or not, but we shall see. All right, that is our first tile. We'll go ahead and move. I think we'll move into our second tile. Why not? We'll see what we can find. We'll move forward and see what we found. We found tile 3. So again, we'll just place this down on here, move our character up, and we'll draw our next mist card. We have found ourselves Apprehension. You are covered by the mist. Fear begins to well up inside you. You know how dangerous the mist can be. You wait and wait. Nothing happens. It's just fog. All right, we'll discard that card by I normally just place cards underneath the other things so it doesn't take up more room on the table. If this deck ever runs out, I would shuffle it back together again. But just know I'm not just putting it under and wait until, but I do put it under just like that so I know where they are. All right, she has only 2 actions left. I think I'm going to stop there for my first turn and gain back all of my action points. I think that might be what I might do because we have to wait for our warrior to come up. He's stuck here. He's raging and he can't do anything about it because he has there's no way to fight. I expected to be fighting things. All right, next turn, maybe I'll wait to do his rage until I actually enter a tile with enemies. That would be a more sensible option. At this point, I'll reset her action points to 4, and if there are any enemies in active combat, we'll apply any special rules that have to do with the end of round, and then also we can adjust the merchant marker from 3 to 2 now that we're done with that particular round. With that done, I'm going to go into the second round. He's going to move up 2 to there. He's going to have 1 action point left, and he's going to use his final action point, which isn't the best idea because you usually want to go into a room with action points, to reveal the next tile. We got number 11. We'll place that right here, and I'm just going to move these tiles down so we can see what's going on. Do know the merchant is behind us. We are going to move him in, and we're going to draw our next mist card and see what we have found. It says here, he just won't shut up. As you walk through the mist, you hear a noise at your feet. You look down to see a cute little imp. The tiny fellow seems pretty harmless. Attach this card to your hero board. It gives 3 noise. Draw an additional card during Lord event actions. That's awesome. To remove this card, we can either bribe him, discard an item to give the imp, or kill him. Health 4, hit chance 9, defense 2. Well, I've got no action points left, so that is not going to happen. He is now attached to my card. That guy sucks. All right, we're going to move into her turn. She's going to spend 1 action. Oh, I also have to move this down. We're going to move into the next turn. She's going to use 1 action point to move up and then another action to reveal a tile. So we found tile number 13. We'll place that here. Now, normally you would there are in theory monsters in this mist deck. There are monsters that we have to deal with. This one says, "You and what army?" As you walk into the room, you see a single minion. This should be easy. You walk forward, but you suddenly realize that the mist was hiding the rest. I'm going to draw 2 times. Draw 2 times the number of heroes in minions. So we have 2 heroes, so we're going to draw 4 minions. Okay, that's actually a lot of minions. It's a lot more than I want to deal with, but, well, that's going to happen. Okay, so we're going to draw 4 minions and see what we're going to fight. So we're going to take our minion deck, give it a little truffle shuffle here, and see what we found. Now, after our second encounter with monsters, I'm going to start adding some of these in. We'll see what happens. So our first one, we're going to deal with a fire sub-demon, an ice sub-demon, a skeletal archer, and a werewolf. Now, of course, I should actually keep these like this. We have to draw them and place them in order on our board, and I'm going to move to our board in just a second, but I am placing them out there as they are supposed to be done. So as we drew them, we placed them in rows of 3. So we have our 3 rows here, and also for every row that we make, we're going to add an item card to here, and as we defeat these rows, these will be exposed, and we can pick them up in the dungeon. So we have our first combat here. We have lots of guys here. I only have 2 action points left. left. We'll see what we can do with that and see if we can do anything good. I do have my flame spell. If I wish to use it, I can attack an enemy with added power based on level. So I could attack somebody for 6 damage if I want to, or I could shoot a fireball, standard action pretty much, or I guess you could say a fire bolt. It can target up to the 3rd row of people, and it's going to do 3 damage. Now let's quickly look at one of these cards to show you what we see here. So this is the amount of that they need to hit me. This is going to add anything to it that is going to make it harder for me to hit them. This is their health. This is, if they have any text in here, that's what they're going to have. This is their defense and their weakness. This is their attack and the amount of, this is their element that they're going to attack with, and this is the range that they can fight with. So if he was up here, he could shoot me because he's 3 away. Now, of course, being at range 1, he's just going to be able to attack no matter what. So that's our Ice Demon. All characters, if you know, all these enemies, if you notice, are a little bit different. And the Skeletal Minion Archer does actually have a power. It says when attacking, combine the power of all other skeletal archers in the dungeon tile to perform 1 attack. The remaining archers do not attack this round. And we only have 1, so we don't have to worry about that. Now we do have our werewolf. Lucky for us, if you notice, our werewolf is at range, can only attack at range 1, and it gets +1 attack. Add the power for every other werewolf on this tile. Ooh, boy. All right, so that's no good. Okay, I do have 2 actions left. I can choose to attack one of these if I wish to, and I think I'll probably use my flame spell. My flame spell is going to do 7 damage. Now I would normally subtract that from our defense. Now if you notice, he has 3 defense and 3 health, so I could probably take this one out in 1 shot, but also I could probably take this one out because if you notice, he has a weakness to fire. So if we look at our flame spell over here, it has a +2. So if I attack somebody that has that elemental weakness, I'm going to be able to do that extra damage to them. So I think we're going to shoot the sub-demon, meaning I'm going to have to get a 14 on my hit chance here. This does not give me any bonuses to it, and he is not making it any harder for me. So we'll roll our dice, see what we get. We got a 6. A 6 is lower than our 14. So we're going to add up our damage. The first thing we're going to add up is the fact that I have 3 power plus 3 damage here. That's going to be 6. Then I get to do my extra damage after this. So 4 defense he has, so 4 minus 6. I'm going to do 2 damage to him. We'll take our 2 damage and put it on our monster. Now, since he has an elemental weakness, our flame spell gets to do 2 damage to it, which is going to be 4, which is going to be enough to kill this demon. So we're going to remove that card from our board here and place our werewolf out. Now, since this row has become, is removed all our characters or enemies, we'll place this out. We'll look at this thing. Elite Throwing Knife. Now, she can use this. So after I'm done here, I might want to try to pick that up and put that in my thing, or in my inventory. We're going to discard this guy. He's dead. And then that's the end of my actions. I have no more actions. So we're going to go to 0 action points. Now, when I use my flame spell, it doesn't mean it's disappeared or it has like I have to wait for it to come back or anything. I still get to keep that card in my possession and be able to fire again if I had action points, but I don't. Now, that's the end of my turn. Now that there's actually enemies on the board, there is a lot more to do during this step. We're going to refresh our current action points back to 4. So we have our 4 action points. The threat meter is going to, we'll draw threats if we need to, and adjust any tokens if we want to. Now, if there's any enemies focused on the hero, they are going to attack as well. So we'll see how much damage they're going to do to us. Now, for each enemy, we are going to check their hit chance up here. Now, I do apologize. I actually skipped ahead. They're supposed to attack before I get my action points back. So we're going to roll for each one of these monsters. The amount of damage they do is found here. So he's going to do 5, he's going to do 9, and he's going to do 4. 9 damage. This could be really bad. This could be a really quick battle here. So they need to get 16 or lower. I don't have anything that's going to help me prevent this from going off. He got an 8, so he did hit me. He is going to do a total of 5 damage. Here's where I made my first error, and actually I'm going to do it for the entire playthrough. I misunderstood how the action point system works when it comes to defending against the monster. When they attack you, you get to use the amount of action points that you normally would have to help defend against the monster as they are coming at you. So as you can see, I'm not actually going to do that, and I'm just going to take a lot of damage. So we'll subtract our defense from it. So we are going to take 1. 5 minus 4 is 1 damage. Now also, I forgot to mention, I did get an experience point for casting our spell. It is found on the bottom of our card, +1 experience on a hit, and I did hit him. So we got 1 experience point for that, and I've taken 1 damage. Continuing on to the werewolf, this is horrible. he's going to try to hit me. He got a 16. That's way more than enough to hit me. He does 9 damage. Now, notice they also attack at fire, but I don't have any weakness to fire, so I'm not going to take any additional damage. But 9 minus 4 means I'm going to take 5 damage from that guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, it's off screen, but I'm down to 9 health right now. And our skeletal archer will also fire. He needs a 15 or lower. 17, he missed. Oh, good. See, something went my way. Interestingly enough, though, it only does 4 damage, so I would have blocked all that damage. All right, so that's bad. That's the end of our round, which is good, I guess. Now that the round is over, I'm going to put Enrage back over in my area over here to be used again. And we'll move into his turn. Now, he doesn't have 8 experience. He got 0. I forgot to reset that. Okay. He is going to have to go into his turn now. I guess I'm going to have him go before the mage here because the mage got totally demolished. All right. He's going to get his 3 action points back at the end of his turn. Forgot to do that as well. He's going to use 1 action to move in and start taking these guys out. So he's going to move up into this square. And he's going to help out our prophet in this particular fight. Now, the way this works is just imagine the character coming in and attacking from the back is how this works. So if there was multiple rows of enemies, he would be attacking from the back. So his, like, if he only attacks at one space, he would be able to attack these people if there were still people in this row here. But there isn't anybody, so he's going to be attacking from the back against these guys. He doesn't get any bonuses or anything like that. He's just going to try to smack these guys real hard. He does have I could use an ability. He has 2 action points left, and I probably will. I'm going to use my Brawler ability, which allows me to attack 2 adjacent enemies with added power based on the level roll for each attack. So I'm going to do a total of 7, 8, 9 damage if I'm able to hit. Now, they have to be adjacent, so I could attack these 2, or I could attack those 2 if I wish to. The other option I have is just doing a standard attack for 7 damage twice, because it only costs me 1 action to do it if I wish to. So is 9 or 7 a better attack? I would guess 9 is, because I could kill this guy off, because 9 minus 4 is going to be 5 damage, where 7 minus 4 is still going to be 3. It's not going to be enough to kill that guy. I would have to attack him again anyway. So we're going to use our Brawler ability here. And it says I get +1 experience points per hit, so he potentially could go up to 2 experience points with this ability. We'll see how that goes. Now, also one thing I forgot to do is give myself 1 experience points when I used my Enrage card. So he's going to hopefully end with 3 experience points. We'll see how this goes. His hit chance is 13, but he does get +2 to this roll because of our card here. So I need 13, 14, 15. We need to get lower than a 15 to hit the sub-fire demon. I've got a 5, so 5 means that I did 7 plus the 2 here is 9. 9 minus 4 is 5. That's less than his health, so this guy is dead. Oof, that was good. Now here comes a tough guy. We'll see if we can get this guy. Now notice he's got a -2 here. That means that it basically cancels out my +2 because it's going to make it harder for me to hit this guy. So now I do need a 13 or better in order to hit this guy. I got an 8. That is going to be enough. So 9 minus 5 is going to be 4 damage. So we'll place 4 damage onto that enemy. And that's the end of his activations. He's done. He's at 0. At this point now, that means this guy is now focused on him because he attacked him and didn't kill him. So we're going to move him. I just move him over to his board. Normally you don't. You normally just leave them there, but show that that they are attacking that particular person. This werewolf is now going to attack our warrior here. He needs an 18 or lower. This is going to be pretty bad here. 13. Oh, it hit. Okay. So he's going to do 9 points of damage to him. If he is not susceptible to fire, so he's only going to take 9 points of damage. 9 minus 6 is he's going to take 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I do want to mention that if you saved any action points, which I'm going to place back up here now that his turn is done, you get to modify that die roll equal to the amount of action points you have left. So if I would have had 3, his 18 would have gone to needing a 15 or more lower in order to hit, because I saved those extra action points to help with my defense is something you can do, or I should say my dodging ability, I guess. So that's the end of our warrior. Let's move back over to our mage. There's only 1 enemy left for our mage. She does 3 damage, so that's not going to be enough to kill him. So she's going to use her flame spell again, which will do 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 would kill this character because he only has 3 defense. So let's see if we're able to hit. I need a 14 or lower in order to hit this guy. Actually, I need a 15 because he has a -1 here, but that 7 totally does it. So I do get to do 3 plus 3 from my normal power, and that's going to be 3 defense plus 3 health. This enemy is dead. Now, that does not mean I get to re-show this card, because remember, our werewolf is still out there. Now that cost us 2 of our action points to cast our flame spell, and I'm probably going to cast my flame spell again, doing another 5, 6, 3 plus 3 is 6. It's only going to do 1 damage to him. Is it even worth it? Oh, you know what? I should have done my infernal spell. That would have been better. Maybe I might back this up a little bit. I forgot that that guy was over there. This one's attack 2 enemies. The added power based on level. Roll once, ignoring enemy hit chance. So I did get a 7. I think this is going to be a better way of doing this. I'll show you what I mean, because technically these 2 enemies are still out on the board. So I would do a total, I'd use all my action points, which would be all 4 of my action points to do this. And it's going to be, I'm going to do a total of 7 damage to both of them, which would mean I would only do 2 to this guy, but 4, 5, 6 is enough to kill him. So it would do 7 to this character, which would kill this, and then the 7 damage I would do with my Inferno spell would be, it would be 4 plus my 3 is 7, 5 minus 7 is 2. He's already taken 4, so 2 more would kill him as well. So he's also going to die as well. Oh, I forgot to add his power here. So each of our characters should have taken 1 more damage. That's no good. Yeah, I just got to read the werewolf card a little bit better to find out that I shouldn't have done extra damage for both my guys, but that's okay. So she's actually at 8 health, and our warrior is at 9 health. I forgot about that. Now we get to flip this over as well. Look, we found a super good axe, which, oh, it's actually not super good. It's the same as his from his sword. It's the same as his sword, so it doesn't really help out too much. All right, well, that's too bad. Okay, that is the end of our combat. We gain these 2 items. We can pick them up if we wish to. Ending our round, we're going to tick our token up to a 1, but the funny thing is I don't really need it. I'm going to spend 1 action point to pick this up and 1 action point to equip it. She's going to go to 2 action points. Now she has a cool-looking throwing knife. I think that's going to be all she's going to do. She's just going to go back to her full action points and call it a day there. Our warrior is going to spend 1 action point to pick this up. He's not going to use it, but he can hold on to it. And when then that'll add money. Remember, we need to get 10 coins each. So right now, our wizard has 4, or sorry, our prophet has 4, and our warrior has 4 coin worth of items and money as well. So we have to continue on. We're going to move into our next round. We're going to tick this to nothing here. Now, normally just sitting around doing nothing in dungeon is a bad idea. This thing is now available if I want to go buy it, but I don't think I am, because now I have this throwing knife. Now the throwing knife does give me +1 power, so it goes to 4. The staff though gives me +2 attack. I think we'll be fine with just the sword, or the knife I mean. I think we'll be okay with that. All right, let's move into our next turn. I think we're going to start with our warrior. He is going to move. He's going to spend 1 of his action points to go to 2 to flip over the next tile. We have to, flat tile 25. Okay, so tile 25. This actually wasn't the pile. That's pretty awesome. This is going to be amazing. Okay, it says here, the Lich Sentinel can be found in the tile 25, and combat will begin instead of checking the tile content chart. So we're going to go find the Lich. Spend 1 action point to pick up its enemy card. It counts as 2 against its carry limit. Return it to the starting tile and gain 5 coins. All right, we have to go find this Lich, and we're in here, and there's a Lich now in this room. Here's our Lich. I think you're about to see a TPK. All right, this Lich has 12 health. It needs a 16 to hit. It has 12 damage. 12 damage. That's 12 damage. And that's 10 health. Oh boy. All right, so this thing is now in combat. It's going to be in combat with our warrior. This is going to be really bad. I think we might be dead here in about 1 or 2 turns. But they don't call it a gauntlet for nothing. We're going to go for it. We should definitely not be fighting this guy unless like level 4 or 5 or something. All right. I'm so dead. All right, this guy's I'm gonna try to take on the Lich. Oh boy. All right, so here's the deal. Okay, I have 2 action points left. Let's see what I can do to this guy. I can brawl him if I want to, which is probably my best bet here. It does 2 plus his 7. That's 9 damage. That's not even gonna be enough. I think we might just attack this guy twice. I'm gonna use 2 actions, just attack him twice and see how we do. I have a hit chance of 13, so I have 13 or less. I hit once. Now I only do a total of 7 damage, but it doesn't matter what the defense value of an enemy is. It's always going to take at least 1 health. As you'll see, this is a pretty hopeless battle, and I've already figured that out. But one thing I did do wrong here that I want to make sure you understand is I'm going to just say at some point that I can just do 1 point of damage. That's not right. The way you calculate damage in this game is you take the maximum damage you're doing and subtract it from the enemy's defense. If that number is 0 or -1, you still do 1 damage. If it's -2 or lower, you'll do no damage. And so as you can see, I should have done less damage to this monster if I even would have done any damage at all. So I did do 1 point of damage to Lich. The Lich is going to fight back. It needs a 16 or lower in order to hit. We'll see how this goes. It got an 18 and missed. Okay, that's awesome. So we do get to live to fight yet again another day. Now our prophet here is going to spend 1 action to move into that room. I can't believe I'm doing this, but it is super cool. This is the one thing that's really cool about this is even though you're entering into like mist cards, you never know what you're going to find. So we found this cool quest. I did not even know that tile is in there. I should know it because of the setup, but I totally forgot what was the tiles were in there. I have like my cards here. I don't need this antidote. That's not going to help me at all. But I do have 2 more action points. I could either do I can't do Inferno. I can do Flame. Let's see how much Flame does. Flame is going to do attack the number 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 is going to, I'm going to hit him for 7. 7's not going to be enough. He got 10 health. How much does Inferno do? Inferno can do a total of 8 damage. That's the most that can do, 8 damage. This one, the most it can do is 7 damage. Okay, we've got a serious problem here. I don't honestly think there's any way we're going to be able to beat this guy. Because if we look at the bottom of his card, it does say if exactly 1 health remaining, remove damage. Now I'm hoping that only if, is at the end of his turn. So I think we have to power through 2 of those. I'm going to go with it. I don't think it's going to come into play. So we're going to see how it goes. I think I'm just going to attack him with my normal spell. I can hit him with my attack. I can roll 3 dice because I have 3 actions left. So we're going to roll 3 actions. I need to get 14 or lower in order to hit him. And I'm only ever going to do 1 point of damage anyway. So let's roll these up. I got all 3. So we are going to do 3 points of damage. He has taken 4 points of damage. That's not bad. And then he is now centered on me. I think this is going to be the end of the game right here. He is centered on me. He is going to attempt to attack me for 12 points of damage. He needs an 16 or lower in order to do it. He did hit it. Okay, so he did 12. I get to subtract 4. So was that 8? I think that's it. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, that is. That's exactly enough to kill me. So I'm going to go to 0 health and I am exhausted. Wow. This guy just came out of nowhere. Oh my gosh, well, I kind of knew he was coming, this card, but I didn't know he was going to come out and do that much. Okay, so sadly, I did not survive this. I was destroyed in the gauntlet. We did not make it. This guy got me. Oh my gosh, this game is so good. I love this game so much. I love the fact that you have these super cool quests that just happen in these dungeons. Now, of course, in the normal dungeon, I would be able to move around a little bit more. And so if I knew this tile was here, I could have, for example, I could have ran from this guy. I could have like fleed from that Lich that was in this room and then like moved around other places away from him or something and left him in that room until I was more powerful to take him on. But when you're in the gauntlet, you don't have that option. You're just going straight up this gauntlet and we got destroyed. Oh my gosh. He laid an awesome trap. This Lich came out and killed us. It was super cool. So there you have it. That is Dungeons of Infinity. Like I said, if you're interested in more Dungeons of Infinity, please check out my the link in the description below, or of course, you could search for it on my channel. I have done a playthrough of the first mission in the original game, which hasn't changed from the 2.0 version. That mission is still the same, so you could check out what that is. Also, like I said, Colin has also done another one-off scenario from the original 1.0 game. You can check that out in the description of this video. I'll put a link there as well. It's over on the One Stop Co-op Shop channel, so you can check it out there. So there you have it. That was Dungeons Infinity. Yeah, we tried to run the gauntlet. We didn't make it. It was super cool. But again, like I said, there's a lot of cool things going on. Of course, we could have gotten more powers and things. We didn't get high enough in our experience points to get more powers. You can also add in things to make things more difficult. I don't think you needed to add anything more difficult than this card right here. That card was out of control. That was super, super cool. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the playthrough. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more content comes out. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. If you had this game in your collection before, are you excited for this new version coming out? Please let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out the link in the description of this video. Our Patreon link is there. Those that have joined the Patreon are found here on the screen. Thank you so much for your patronage. It means the world to me. Those that are part of the Patreon do get some of the perks. The perks are they get a chance to watch Colin and my playthroughs usually a day or two ahead of time. Also, when there are decisions made in the game or even before the game, we usually turn to our Patreon supporters to help us decide how that goes. Normally, I would let them choose the kind of characters we want to see be in this game, but I unboxed it and instantly started doing the playthrough and just thought, I'm just going to do it because I was super excited to get this game to the table. And I wanted to use this character. This Prophet looks so cool. That miniature is so amazing with the flying flame all around it. Oh my gosh, that looks so cool. So I wanted to make sure we were able to use that character. So there you have it. That was Dungeon Infinity. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're excited to see what Colin and I have coming up next, then I need you to meet me at the table.